HNL Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby-Ann Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Noel Maitland's defense team stuns the court by suggesting that his murdered girlfriend's DNA got in his apartment because she was on her period.
70-year-old prisoner drowns after jumping to his death in the Rio Cobre.
The reputed leader of the 100 Sunshine Crescent gang has been slapped with multiple charges.
Thieves are hampering Digicel's efforts to restore service across the island.
All that does, it stops us recovering people because you've got to go back to it.
JMDA boss Rene Badro criticizes the government for lacking practical plans to address the plight of doctors in Western Jamaica.
Practical solutions for the immediate problems at hand remained lacking and unresolved.
In news from the rest of the world, the Venezuelan government is preparing its armed forces in the event of an invasion or military attack by the United States.
The U.S. House of Representatives has set up a vote on ending the government shutdown.
In headline sports, Brandon King dropped from West Indies' ODI squad. His place taken by another Jamaican.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Irish billionaire Dennis O'Brien is criticizing the size of the UK government's aid to Jamaica in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. He'll join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, how would you suggest the government address the housing crisis created by Hurricane Melissa? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, several NGOs have been assisting in the government's recovery and relief efforts. We'll hear from Jamaica Red Cross's Manager of Emergency Services, Liska Powell.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, November 12, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The defense team of Constable Noel Maitland has questioned whether the DNA of Donnelly Donaldson found in the policeman's apartment could have gotten there as a result of the dead woman's period blood. Defense attorney Chadwick Berry pressed a government forensic analyst during cross-examination today. Maitland is on trial for Donaldson's murder. He's also facing charges of preventing the lawful burial of a corpse. Roby-Ann Williams was in court.
Berry's line of questioning follows damning testimony on Tuesday, confirming that the dead girl's DNA was found in bloodstains in Maitland's New Kingston apartment. On Wednesday, the defense questioned whether the DNA could have gotten there if Donnelly was menstruating or seeing her period. Berry also questioned whether biological material could have been transferred through ordinary contact. The government forensic expert conceded that menstrual blood comes from the shedding of the uterine lining and therefore contains DNA. She added that blood expelled outside of a woman's menstrual cycle would also carry DNA. The defense further questioned how easily DNA could be transferred through everyday interactions such as touching a lectern, doorknob, or another person's hand. The expert agreed that such a transfer was possible, but cautioned that several factors must be considered, including the surface type, duration of contact, and how readily an individual sheds skin cells. The court previously heard that Donnelly Donaldson's DNA was detected on a brown drape, a black and red Puma shoe, and a throw pillow cover seized from Maitland's apartment. But a swab taken from the trunk of a gray BMW revealed a mixture of DNA from at least 4 contributors, including 1 male. The DNA profile from a toothbrush said to belong to Donaldson was excluded from that sample. The analyst also confirmed that she was unaware of how the toothbrush was handled prior to laboratory testing. She emphasized that her role was limited to identifying the biological source of DNA found on exhibits, not determining how or when it was deposited. The trial continues in the Home Circuit Court on Thursday morning at 10. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
A male prisoner believed to be in his 70s reportedly drowned on Wednesday afternoon after leaping from the back of a police vehicle into the Rio Cobre. Reports are that the man was being transported from the Linstead lockup to the Spanish Town police station when the incident occurred on Flatbridge. Nationwide News understands that the prisoner, who was handcuffed to a tire, jumped from the moving Hilux pickup. Video footage obtained by our news center shows the man flipping from the vehicle and striking the concrete surface of the bridge before plunging into the river below. Moments later, the tire to which he was attached was seen floating downstream. A subsequent video captured members of the Jamaica Fire Brigade and the police at the scene appearing to retrieve an object from the water. The identity of the prisoner has not yet been confirmed. We'll have more on this developing story in subsequent newscasts.
The reputed leader of the 100 Sunrise Crescent gang has been slapped with multiple charges in relation to a case of kidnapping and armed robbery. He's 32-year-old Michelle Ward. He's facing charges of possession of a prohibited weapon, robbery with aggravation, kidnapping, using a firearm to commit a felony, and recruiting a child to be part of a criminal organization. Shaloy Smichael has the details.
Ward has also been charged with being a leader of a criminal organization, being a part of or participating in a criminal organization, and assault occasioning actual bodily harm. The incident that prompted the avalanche of charges occurred along Red Hills Road and Sunrise Crescent, Kingston 19, on March 30 this year. According to the police, at about 5:30 p.m., 2 men were robbed, kidnapped, and placed in the trunk of a car. The pair managed to escape and contacted the police. This led to a multi-agency investigation. 5 months later, on August 8, lawmen say a child who's alleged to have taken part in the crime voluntarily surrendered to them. He was later pointed out during an identification parade as one of the suspects. The police say investigations further led to a major operation on October 15. It was then that Ward was arrested at his home on Sunrise Crescent. The alleged gang leader was subsequently pointed out during an identification parade. He was formally charged on Tuesday, November 11. The minor has also been charged with kidnapping, robbery with aggravation, assault occasioning bodily harm, being in possession of a prohibited weapon, being part of a criminal organization, possession of firearm with intent to injure, and use of firearm to commit a scheduled offense. The police say investigations are still underway to locate the other suspects involved in the incident. Anyone with information is being asked to contact the Constant Spring Police at 876-924-1425, Crime Stop at 311, the National Intelligence Bureau at 811, or the nearest police station. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
President of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, the JMDA, Dr. Renee Badro, has criticized the government for what she says is the absence of practical and immediate plans to address the plight of healthcare workers in Western Jamaica. Her criticism follows a meeting with the Health Ministry to address concerns about the state of Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James.
The JMDA entered the meeting with several critical matters to address, and not only the matters but also the possible solutions. But unfortunately, while the minister presented several mid to long-term plans, practical solutions for the immediate problems at hand remained lacking and unresolved. At present, we have healthcare workers sleeping in their cars. Where are the tents that could be erected to provide temporary accommodation? Where are the facilities outside of the affected areas that could be identified and utilized to house our healthcare workers?
The JMDA says recent reports issued by the Western Regional Health Authority and Cornwall Regional do not reflect the reality on the ground. It says reports from its members indicate that the hospital is in a devastated state. The association urged the ministry to restore safe and adequate working conditions at Cornwall Regional Hospital. Dr. Badro is also calling for a coordinated approach to address the needs of the country's healthcare workers.
The reality is that it cannot be business as usual in the north, east, south, or west of this country after we just faced a Category 5 hurricane. There are real-time issues that demand immediate action and not future promises. And while I do not claim to speak for all healthcare workers, at the very least I can say that I speak for my doctors, that they feel abandoned and they feel forgotten. The JMDA once again calls for a decisive, compassionate, and coordinated action to address the immediate needs of our healthcare heroes on the front line.
That's Dr. Renee Badro, the JMDA president.
A rise in theft and vandalism of critical telecommunications infrastructure is hampering efforts to restore service in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. That's the word from one of the country's leading service providers, Digicel. Executives from the telecoms giant were facing questions from Parliament's Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee on Wednesday. The company has set a target of returning to full service by the end of the year. But as we hear in this report from Siobhan Campbell, that timeline is being threatened by thieves.
Hurricane Melissa struck a blow to Digicel systems 2 weeks ago. Now thieves are complicating efforts to restore the critical service. Digicel's CEO Stephen Murad says the criminals are wreaking havoc as the company tries to restore service.
We're seeing a huge spike, unfortunately, in vandalism to our network, which is, I break it into little strands. So you've got potential copper theft. We don't have copper in the fibre network. It's plastic and glass, I'm sorry. But people see a black cable and I'll chop it and see what happens. And then I'll go 300 yards down the road to the same cable and chop it again, which means a double fibre break. Brilliant. The Commissioner has been very supportive, like in particular the CTOC division. We have had some successes this year, but we're seeing that ramp up dramatically as well. And all that does, it stops us recovering people, because we've got to go back to it. So we've got to stop the recovery of the people who don't have service to go back and refix what it is.
Head of network operations at Digicel Group, Anthony Barrows, says thieves are also taking off with the company's fuel. He says this is having a significant effect on restoring service to several communities.
And what I want to drive home is to ask a community coalition almost to protect those sites, because we would have put a significant amount of fuel at Daniel Beach to continue to operate, and it would have been taken. And I understand a circumstance where people are indeed desperate, and there's a significant gap in supply, even in respect of diesel or generally, right? And I know that, yes, I know that efforts have been made to close that gap. But even the best of times, they would have taken it. But these are the worst of times, and they're taking it and it is impacting a grouping way beyond normal.
Despite the actions of the vandals, the company anticipates that it will be able to restore service to 75% of its customers within 2 weeks. Full coverage is expected by the end of the year.
What I'm saying here is that 2 weeks' time we'll be back at 75%, and as we transition out of recovery into the rebuild, we can expect that I would say by the end of the year, sometime in December, we'll be back to where we were before Melissa. That would include some of the rebuilding. As Stephen had mentioned, we had 37 sites, mostly rooftop infrastructure, that process of rebuild has already started. One site is back on here already, believe it or not, with 8 to be completed within the next 2 weeks. So the building is happening, a restoration is taking place in the background, and 2 weeks to 75%.
The Digicel CEO stressed that the restoration timelines will only be achieved if the actions of the criminals can be thwarted or curbed. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the National Water Commission, the NWC, says there are areas they've been unable to reach due to impassable roads. NWC's regional manager, Dr. Philippa Campbell-Francis, gave an update during Wednesday's Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee.
So for the initial assessment of all the facilities, there are now only 6 facilities that we have not been able to reach, and those are in some rural areas where the roads are impassable. I know that Content in St. Elizabeth is one of them, because that facility is in the middle of, that facility is off of Santa Cruz, but the area is completely flooded. So we have seen the facility, but the area is flooded, and therefore we have not been able to go in to do the electromechanical assessments. And we also have the other 5 are in Hanover, Westmoreland.
That's Dr. Philippa Campbell Francis, NWC's regional manager. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil initial offices in Mandeville and Mobay are closed until further notice. The Kingston office is operational. Rentokil Initial empathizes with our fellow Jamaicans as we rebuild Jamaica together. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay. Continuing the news, more than 600 schools have now been reopened for face-to-face classes since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, provided the update during Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday.
Yesterday, the numbers that came in nationally showed 653 of our schools of the 1,010 up and running. So every day it gets better as we find the people, as we bring the hope and we encourage. People are getting up, people are bouncing back. And our principals, who are the frontline workers in our schools, they are finding themselves and finding the courage to get up and get the work going. So I can tell you by next week we should have more details as to the number of schools that should be up and running in different modalities.
Hundreds of schools across the island were impacted by Hurricane Melissa. The disruption affected more than 150,000 students, as several schools in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, St. James and Hanover were severely damaged. Dr. Troop says the ministry is working to bridge the learning gap caused by Melissa.
People have to have access, be it the learning kits, be it the AI tools, be it the computer-aided learning, whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily mean online, because we know that there are challenges with online.
Yes.
We have been providing Starlink in some of those schools. We have to get the internet up and running, working with our service providers to make sure that even within that local space, there is an opportunity of learning. So we're looking at the extended day, we're looking at self-paced learning, we're looking at tools that children can take home and come back for feedback.
Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education.
Christmas festivities are expected to be scaled back across Kingston and St. Andrew this year. This as the country continues to recover from the effects of Hurricane Melissa. The capital city's mayor, Andrew Swaby, says efforts must be focused on helping families put their lives back together.
Our country is still reeling from the impact of Hurricane Melissa, and many families are struggling to put their lives back together. We know that both government and the private sector are under heavy strain, and many of our usual sponsors are now directing their resources towards relief and rebuilding efforts. In light of this, we have made the decision to scale down our Christmas celebration this year. The annual tree lighting will take place, but in a more modest and heartfelt way.
That's Andrew Swaby, Kingston's mayor.
A bit of good news now. A mother and her 3 children who had been reported missing since October 25 have been found. The trio are safe. Police located them at a shelter in Darlaston, Westmoreland on Wednesday. The shelter is at Maud McLeod High School. The mother, Dana Mackenzie, and her children are of Warwick District, Crosskeys in Manchester. The children are 1-year-old Gabriella, 3-year-old Kemario, and 7-year-old Shamar Martin. It's not immediately clear what they were doing in Westmoreland.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The world in a minute.
In regional news, the Venezuelan government is preparing its armed forces in the event of an invasion or military attack by the United States. In a statement on Tuesday, the country's defense minister said that the preparations include the massive deployment of land, air, and sea assets. This is in addition to the participation of 200,000 police, militia, and citizens units. The announcement by Venezuela's military came as the U.S. Department of Defense confirmed the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, had entered the Southern Command's area of responsibility. This includes the Caribbean region. In recent weeks, the U.S. government has also surged troops to areas near the Caribbean, including in Puerto Rico, El Salvador, Panama, and Trinidad and Tobago, for training exercises and other operations. The Trump administration has framed the deployments as necessary to disrupt illicit drug trafficking and protect the U.S. homeland. Trump officials have also accused President Nicolas Maduro of masterminding the activities of the Tren de Aragua gang, which is a Venezuelan gang with a relatively modest presence in the United States.
The lower chamber of the U.S. Congress is set to vote today on a bill to end the longest government shutdown in the country's history. It's been 43 days since the shutdown began. Thousands of federal employees have been working without pay or laid off. On Monday, the U.S. Senate passed a bill to end the shutdown and fund the government. House Speaker Mike Johnson urged lawmakers on Wednesday to hurry back to Washington after a nearly 8-week absence. But the prospect of travel delays due to the shutdown could complicate the vote. Lawmakers in the House have to reach a simple majority to pass the bill. If it passes, the bill then moves to President Donald Trump for approval.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Noel Maitland's defense team stuns court by suggesting that his murdered girlfriend's DNA got in his apartment because she was on her period.
70-year-old prisoner drowns after jumping to his death in the Rio Cobre.
The reputed leader of the 100 Sunshine Crescent gang has been slapped with multiple charges.
Thieves are hampering Digicel's efforts to restore service across the island.
All that does, it stops us recovering people because you've got to go back to it.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at www.revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Ho, ho, ho! And what would you like for Christmas?
A paint tough enough for my messy grandkids. Perfect color matching for my living room.
Paint that covers in fewer coats, A finish that stands up to sun or rain,
BH Paints has you covered. Now up to 25% off.
Be one of the first 200 monthly to register on championsofcolor.com and get a free gallon of BH New Ultima Advanced Formula. No purchase required.
All I want for Christmas is BH Paints.
Discounts available at BH Paint stores and participating hardwares.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dusk.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica made a winning start to their campaign at the 25th staging of the Caribbean Women's Basketball Championships in Guyana. A short while ago, they defeated Suriname 86-47 at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall in the capital city. Jamaica jumped into a 37-8 lead at the end of the first quarter. Suriname, they won the second quarter 16-13. Jamaica held a healthy 50-24 lead at the break. The Jamaicans poured on the pressure in the third quarter, which ended 73-32 before going on to take victory. Tiffany Reynolds was the leading scorer for Jamaica. She ended with 26 points. The Jamaicans are back in action on Friday. They take on the Bahamas. They're looking for one of the three spots from this championship to go to the Central Basketball Championships in 2026. Some cricket news now. Captain of the West Indies team, Shai Hope, is backing his team to bounce back and to draw their 5-match T20 International Series against New Zealand. The teams are meeting tonight at 7:15 Jamaica time at the Hagley Oval in Dunedin to play the fifth and final game of the series. The Caribbean men started the series brightly with a 7-run victory in the opening game. The Kiwis, they hit back with a 9-run win in the second before going on to, in fact, they won by 3 runs in the second and then by 9 runs in the third. So they lead the series by 2-1. The fourth encounter was abandoned due to rain, leaving the visitors with an unassailable 2-1 lead. Hope is expressing disappointment that the weather robbed his team of the opportunity in the fourth encounter, but he remains confident that the West Indies has the tools to get back in the series and end it 2-2.
The unfortunate reality is that we can't win this series, that last game that was rained out, but we still put ourselves in a position to finish on square terms. Something when you go to foreign conditions and foreign places, sometimes you got to take what you get. But certainly 2-2 will look a lot better than 3-1 to New Zealand. So that's something that we're certainly hoping for. And still many positives that you can take from this series, especially coming from the previous one where the conditions were so different in terms of ball spinning a bit more, not bouncing as much, and then transferring that information that we would have had previously to come here and then put up such great fight in the first game to start the series off well. Yeah, but we got a very big game. It's important that we can finish this series very strong.
And Hope is also looking at the possibility of the unpredictable weather conditions in Dunedin playing a key factor in tonight's game.
You got to assess whenever you get there. It looks pretty windy, so I think that will play a big factor when it comes to one side. Not quite sure what to expect as yet, but we just got to go by some of the data that we've collected and then try to use that to our advantage.
That's West Indies white ball captain Shai Hope. Repeat, the game set to bowl off at 7:15 this evening Jamaica time. And Jamaica's Brandon King has lost his place in the West Indies one-day international setup because of a recent decline in his form. King was not named in the 15-man squad announced on Wednesday by Cricket West Indies for the 3-match one-day international series against the Kiwis, which get on the way on November 16 at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch. His place, the team has gone to another Jamaican, that's John Campbell, who had a fairly strong Super 50 Regional Championship last year. He also had a fairly decent test series in India recently. Johan Lane has also been drafted into the squad to sort of bolster the bowling attack that will be missing the likes of Alzari Joseph, Shamar Joseph, Ramon Simmons and Jeddah Blade, and they're all listed as injured. The 3-match series against the number 2 ranked Kiwis presents a brilliant opportunity for the West Indies to get some crucial ranking points as they look to gain automatic qualification to the World One-Day International World Cup next in 2027. St. James-based Malden High School, they're at the moment facing a race against time to get ready for the restart of the 2025 schoolboy football season, which has been halted by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The restart of the season has been tentatively set for the back end of November, but for Malden, the school, one of these schools hardest hit, the date probably is coming a bit too quickly, and their coach Dylan Telwell told Nationwide Sports on Wednesday that he has not been able to make contact with any of his players since Hurricane Melissa hit on October 28. All right, and we move on. We're hoping that the Malden players will return, and the coach will be able to make contact with them. All right, we go to another football story here. Jamaica's head coach Steve McLaren says Trinidad and Tobago's current position in Group B of their CONCACAF World Cup qualifying series could make them very dangerous as the two teams square off on Thursday night at the Hazley Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain. The Reggae Boys, they are top the group. They've got 9 points from 4 games. TNT, they are third at the minute. They've got 5 points, and nothing but a victory will keep them alive in the World Cup qualifying campaign. And because of that, McLaren believes it could make them very, very dangerous.
With the best laid plans, this is also a must-win game for us. I know everyone looks at the points, but everywhere we go, we come to win. And so that's what we've been doing. We put a team out that we think can win the game, and we go for winning the game. But I've got to say, we've come across Trinidad and Tobago many times now, and they're improving every game. And they're getting better and better. Been very unlucky, I thought, twice against Curaçao. So we know this is not going to be easy tomorrow in a team that Trinidad have to fight to win.
Yeah, and McLaren says because of the strong position that Jamaica is in at the minute, complacency could be a very dangerous thing. And he believes that they've got to focus on their defensive organization if they're to get a result in the Trinidad Island Republic.
Trinidad is very good, very strong, powerful with the ball. Got very good individual players who can change a game, can make something from nothing. And so we need to defend well. If we don't defend well, then we risk the chance of losing. So we need to defend very well. Once we do that, hopefully we also have good players, individual players, that can win a game and turn a game. So it will be cat and mouse, it will be an intriguing game. And yeah, one we're looking forward to. We've come a long way, 18 months we've been together now, and we reached this stage knowing that World Cup qualification is really in our hands, but we know that an improving, very good Trinidad team can stop us tomorrow.
Yeah, and the game kicks off at 7 p.m. Jamaica time. The permutations again, the Jamaicans can afford a defeat in Trinidad and Tobago and still get to the World Cup if they beat Curaçao in Kingston 4 nights after the game tomorrow night. It's next Tuesday night inside the stadium. So they can afford, but I'm sure the coach, as you heard him mention, will be going for all 3 points. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocho Rios to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's the same in the western city, Montego Bay.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. With 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
SCL Jamaica Limited is having a big blowout sale. Up to 70% off on Milwaukee tools. From power drills to saws, their top-notch Milwaukee tools will handle any project with ease. Hurry to SCL Jamaica Limited at Block L, Sagicor Industrial Center, 7 Norman Road, or call 876-938-1397 for more details. Sale runs November 10 to 28. Terms and conditions apply. Milwaukee, nothing but heavy duty.
Hi, I'm Lori Gale from Oasis, advising of a change in our program focus, November 5 to 18. We do a shift from reading the Word to living out the Word. Host Roland Gale will speak with heads of churches regarding their intervention in getting our lives back on track following Hurricane Melissa. Be sure to join Roland and his guests on Oasis beginning Wednesday, November 5, 12:55 p.m., with a repeat at 5:45 a.m. only on Nationwide, the new revolution in media. Let's all be praying for our nation.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need desperate help.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Give us strength. Never let I fail.
Good afternoon, listeners, viewers. Welcome. It is time for the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. And for the cover story this afternoon, Irish billionaire Denis O'Brien is criticizing the size of the UK government's aid to Jamaica in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The UK's Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy told the UK Parliament last week that the government had deployed £7.5 million sterling in aid to assist with the relief effort. But O'Brien, the founder of Digicel, says it's not good enough.
The UK extracted billions of pounds worth of wealth from Jamaica over hundreds of years, exploiting enslaved people to in turn exploit the country's natural resources. Colonialism wreaked havoc on Jamaica's natural environment, massively increasing its vulnerability to extreme weather events. There is a direct link between the UK's shameful past in Jamaica and across the Caribbean region and the devastation we have witnessed in recent weeks. In Jamaica alone, the government estimates this will cost in the region of $5 billion to address the damage of the hurricane just recently. And in response, to date, the UK has pledged a paltry £7.5 million. This is simply not good enough.
That's Denis O'Brien, Irish billionaire. In addition to the aid, the UK government deployed the Royal Navy aboard HMS Trent to Falmouth, Trelawney, to provide technical expertise on infrastructure assessment and emergency repairs. It also donated shelter kits and solar-powered lanterns. While he acknowledged the responsiveness of the British High Commission to mobilizing support on the ground, O'Brien argues that more needs to be done.
And O'Brien is also the founder of the Repair Campaign, a movement for repatriate justice in the Caribbean. He argues that the scale of the need in Jamaica post-Hurricane Melissa is another reason for the UK government to pay reparations for slavery. Mr. O'Brien joins us now. Good afternoon, Mr. O'Brien.
Good afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon to you, Sir O'Brien. It's Siobhan and my host is Sanjay Lewis. So, Mr. O'Brien, what prompted your public criticism of the UK government's aid package to Jamaica?
Well, when you look back, the UK had the benefit of enslaving 1 million Jamaicans over 400 years. where they had free labor and, free land, and they did a vast exploitation exercise. I think there's something wrong with this along with the line.
We're hearing you clearly. Please go ahead.
Can you? Okay. So my apologies. See, yeah. So they gave up on the slavery in the 1830s, and then they made all the slaves go into an apprentice scheme where they had free labor again, and then all of the plantation owners and slave owners got to pay £1 billion sterling in compensation, which they brought back with the UK, okay, and then they put that money into the Industrial Revolution. So when you look at all the universities, the banks, the insurance companies, the stock exchange, all the significant families in the UK had slaves both in the Caribbean but also in Jamaica. And Jamaica was the largest enslaved country in the region. So it's kind of outrageous that Jamaica's in the Commonwealth and only $7.5 billion would be forthcoming in Jamaica's greatest hour of need.
What level of support would be proportionate then to Jamaica's needs right now?
I think it would be more like 100 million sterling. Which would be somewhere in the region of 1.6 billion Jamaican dollars.
But tell me, Sir O'Brien, because under the circumstances, the UK government has not exactly stepped up to the plate in terms of reparations in other areas. Why do you feel that would change under this crisis situation?
Well, I tell you why. The British government borrowed money in 1838, and they only paid that money off in 2015. And all that money that was borrowed was paid to the wrong people. It was paid to the slave owners and the plantation owners from Jamaica. That's why.
But wouldn't it be, though, a tall ask on the taxpayers of the country to find, as you indicated, £100 million sterling to assist Jamaica at this time? Because that would have to come from the money from taxpayers.
Well, it's a drop in the ocean compared with the money that the UK is funding the Ukraine war with.
Yeah, yes, I heard that sentiment expressed yesterday by a parliamentarian, considering what they consider the lack of link between the United Kingdom and Ukraine, but yet the Ukrainian received far much more aid in terms of fighting the Russian. But isn't that a security concern? Is it a fair conflation of the issues under the circumstances?
Well, I think it's even better than that, because don't forget the British government had the benefit of enslaving Jamaicans for 300 or 400 years. And then they compensated the wrong people. They compensated the plantation owners. And when Jamaica got its independence, they left the cupboards bare. And Jamaica has developed its own economy now, has done extraordinarily well. But because of global warming, there's a hurricane every year or 3 years now, which all the wealthy countries are creating that global warming and this climate change. And basically the islands, including Jamaica in the Caribbean, are all suffering from repeated hurricanes, which they have to pay for. So if you take the Melissa is going to cost between $5 and $6 billion US dollars to rebuild.
Isn't it important, though, and I'm going back to the contribution made to the Ukraine war, that it's important to put into context that the UK government did not pay that full amount in one go, and it was done over a period of time. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, it's over 4 years.
No, it's in the billions. It's in billions every year. So, I mean, the UK are one of the biggest funders in Europe as a country for the Ukraine war.
Right, but the 21.8 billion of which you're speaking of, the context is important, because the impression is given, even by someone who made mention of it yesterday, it gives the impression that it was done in one tranche, but this was done over a 3-4 year period. Isn't that context important too?
Are we talking about the same thing? Are we talking about the compensation to the slave owners, or to the Ukraine?
I'm talking about the contribution made to Ukraine, because without putting it into context, don't you think that's important that you mention that it's over a period of time?
Look, I think there are two separate issues, and I'm only giving an example of how generous the UK has been towards the Ukrainian people. But, the Ukrainians were never enslaved for 400 years, whereas in Jamaica's case, it's for 400 years, millions of people were enslaved. So effectively, the British government and the plantation owners had free labour, free land, and that was a blank cheque to make money. They made all that money, returned back to the UK and funded universities, all the big banks, all the insurance companies, the Crown, the Church. They all had the benefit of receiving vast amounts of money out of Jamaica every year for 350 years.
Please stay with us, Mr. O'Brien, because this is an interesting topic. We have a break, and we will be right back.
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:45.
Every school is free of unhealthy, ultra-processed products. Those high in salt, fats, and sugar. If only that weren't a dream. The reality is that many children have an unhealthy diet at school, and 23% of them are overweight or obese. This can lead to hypertension, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Let's protect our children's right to health with a policy for schools that prevents unhealthy food marketing and ensures access to nutritious foods. The time is now. Let's implement the National School Nutrition Policy. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Voyagings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Voyagings After Dark.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're having some difficulties getting back Mr. O'Brien, but we will try and press on. But in the meantime, I have this quote. This is from Keir Starmer's speech at COP30 just a few days ago, and it's quite an interesting part. I just pulled this specific part out. Just look at the tragic destruction brought by Hurricane Melissa, lives lost, homes, livelihoods, entire communities destroyed, islands just trapped in its devastating path. And so we say today to our friends in Jamaica and across the Caribbean, we stand with you. That is, based on the discussion we're having, a very interesting claim when one of their own citizens, that is Mr. O'Brien, is suggesting that no, the British government is not properly standing with Jamaica in this time of crisis. And he's right. We have the difficulties coming from slavery. We're still a country, a region that is nursing those developmental challenges caused by that period of history. And now we have this devastating hurricane, which has more than likely put us quite back in terms of our own development goals. And the quantum of what is being provided in terms of aid, even the Prime Minister has said, even if he was not being critical, he said it's just simply not enough. It's not going to be enough. We need the international community, especially those in places such as United Kingdom, who have benefited from what this region has suffered through in the past, to step up to the plate.
Yeah, it would be interesting, and I wanted to ask him also, Siobhan, if he had made any direct contact with UK ministers, any of the officials here at the British High Commission in Jamaica, just to see if, or did he urge them then to scale up the response and the support to Jamaica? Yeah. So, as I said, I hope to get Mr. O'Brien back here because I do have some questions for him. He is if people say O'Brien is Irish, but yes, Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, or aspects of Ireland are part of the United Kingdom, which is why I said he is a citizen of that nation. Please remember, just because he is Irish and not specifically British does not mean he's not a citizen of the United Kingdom. So please understand that. That's what I meant. So I do want to bring him back and ask him about that, because he is a citizen of the United Kingdom with significant means, being the founder of Digicel. So certainly he can make that representation to the United Kingdom government in terms of the support that Jamaica really needs, particularly in this time of difficulty. He uses the example of Ukraine, pointing out that the Ukrainian people, in terms of their war effort against Russian aggression, which is important, has received a quantum, a sum far in excess of what could be reasonably said that Jamaica could need. We have Mr. O'Brien back. Good afternoon, sir.
I think that's a much better line. Siobhan, thank you.
Good afternoon. It is good to hear from you again, sir. So as I said, I pointed to that speech made by Sir Keir Starmer at the COP30 on November 6th, where he said that we stand with Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean after suffering from that blow from Hurricane Melissa. But based on what you've said, and I think I can agree with you that the quantum put forward in terms of aid at this time is simply not enough, and more needs to be done. In your position as the founder of Digicel, you're someone of a significant pull, so to speak. Have you made that representation to any aspect of the British government?
Well, we've repeatedly said to the British government that they have to pay reparations. And there needs to be reparatory justice. And this is not a development aid issue. It's a completely separate matter. This is a matter that means that the British government has to compensate what happened over 350, 400 years of slavery.
Mm-hmm. But some may say that disaster relief, Mr. O'Brien, and reparations are separate issues. Yeah. How do you respond to those critics who argue that trying them or trying to tie them together is politically opportunistic?
No, I don't think so. I think the UK has had an exploitive relationship with Jamaica all the way up until 1838 when slavery ended, and then obviously there was the apprentice period that went on for another 4 years. So, for 350, 400 years, Jamaica gave everything to the United Kingdom and created the wealth that is there today. All the universities, all the major homes, the estates, the businesses, the churches, everything across the board was funded out of slavery out of the Caribbean. So, we live in very difficult times with Hurricane Melissa, which has been an appalling thing for Jamaica in the last 2 weeks and the damage that it has struck. So the UK giving $7.5 million is a gratuity. It's like tipping a waitress in a restaurant. compared to what they should be doing.
And Mr. O'Brien, I understand that point, but I'm sure the British people put up the argument that they simply don't have the quantum of £100 million, as you put it, to provide that assistance. But are there any other avenues that you see where you believe the British government could step up in terms of assistance in not only recovery, but further investment in the country to put it forward?
Well, the most important thing at the moment is to get children back into school so they don't miss the school year. And when you look at the number of schools that have been damaged, it's absolutely shocking. I mean, my office in Dublin has been in touch with the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Troop, in the Ministry of Education. And because we have identified a school in Black River High School there, in St. Elizabeth's, and the head teacher there, the principal, is Mr. Christoph Romans. But in a personal capacity, just in my own capacity, we're going to give Jamaican dollars 40 million towards the rebuilding of the school. So, if individuals can do it, the British government can do it like 1,000 or 1,000,000 times over. And then separately, the Caribbean Premier League, which I'm involved in, the T20, which is returning to Jamaica hopefully next year, they've made available Jamaican dollars of 16 million. So, and there's all the companies and people in Jamaica are donating to school building projects, which is fantastic. But when you look at what Great Britain extracted out of Jamaica for 400 years, for goodness sakes, 7.5 million is a drop in the ocean.
Yeah. I'm going to shift the conversation just a little bit because you have spent decades operating in the Caribbean. From your vantage point, what are the most urgent needs on the ground that international partners they're still not addressing?
Across the Caribbean, in terms of economic development, I think education is a very important one. And we're working with University of West Indies, Salesies. We're working with the CARICOM Reparations Commission. We're working within the 10-point framework. And basically, I think when you look at each country, it's about getting children into school earlier, to get more and more children into third-level university education. But also, with climate change, you need storm defenses, but also you need to build reliable green energy projects, mainly solar and offshore wind. So all of these have to be funded. And we're saying that parity justice is all about funding every government, all 15 governments, over a period of, say, 50 years. Because even 50 years, when you compare 50 years versus 350 years of exploitation, it's even out of kilter. So there's a long-term funding and reparatory justice funding program needed for every Caribbean country. I mean, Jamaica has been a phenomenal economic and social success, but look what's happened in Haiti. The Haitian has had to pay compensation to French slave owners and the French government all the way to 1950.
Yes.
So, there's a real responsibility by the European Union and the British government to do something to actually do some antidote to what was really a shocking period in modern history.
And before we part, Mr. O'Brien, you're Irish, and the Irish are no strangers to discrimination and oppression in the past. Do you have any words that you want to impart on the Jamaican people in terms of how to get through such a crisis and what they should do in terms of providing themselves with their own assistance when you believe that the UK and the international community has not stepped up to the plate as it needs to?
Well, I think there's a great community spirit in Jamaica. And, we know that, the other side of the country has not been hit by the hurricane, and a lot of people are putting together aid packages and that. The business community has been galvanized. The government has been galvanized under your Prime Minister. Prime Minister Holness is doing a terrific job. So I think that, there's a lot of community spirit in Jamaica, and you will come out of this, but you need funding. And I'm hoping that the European Union and the British government would reconsider the level of funding that they're going to make available. And indeed, I hope the United States, even in this political climate, will also do something meaningful given the long, long relationship between Jamaica and the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank you as always for your time, and we'll continue to watch this one to see if there will be a response from the UK government. Irish businessman Dennis O'Brien, thank you always for your time, sir. All the best.
Thank you.
Listeners, we take the break and stay with us. The news at 6 is coming up next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Shalois Michael. A male prisoner believed to be in his 70s reportedly drowned on Wednesday afternoon after leaping from the back of a police vehicle into the Rio Cobre. It's understood he was being taken to answer charges in relation to the sexual assault of a minor. Reports are that the man was being transported from the Linstead lockup to the Spanish Town police station when the incident occurred on Flatbridge in St. Catherine. Nationwide News understands that the prisoner, who was handcuffed to a tire, jumped from the moving pickup. Video footage obtained by our news center shows the man flipping from the vehicle and striking the concrete surface of the bridge before plunging into the river below. The identity of the prisoner has not yet been confirmed. A rise in theft and vandalism of critical telecommunications infrastructure is hampering efforts to restore service in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Head of Network Operations at Digicel Group, Anthony Barrows, says thieves are also taking off with the company's fuel.
And what I want to drive home is to ask a community coalition almost to protect those sites, because we would have put a significant amount of fuel at Daniel Beach to continue to operate, and it would have been taken. And I understand a circumstance where people are indeed desperate, and there's a significant gap in supply, in even in respect of diesel or generally, right? And I know that, yes, I know that efforts have been made to close that gap. But even the best of times, they would have taken it. But these are the worst of times, and they're taking it and it is impacting a grouping way beyond normal.
Despite the actions of the vandals, the company anticipates that it will be able to restore service to 75% of its customers within 2 weeks. Full coverage is expected by the end of the year.
What I'm saying here is that 2 weeks' time we'll be back at 75%, and as we transition out of recovery into the rebuild, we can expect that I would say by the end of the year, sometime in December, we'll be back to where we were before Melissa. That would include some of the rebuilding. As Stephen had mentioned, we had 37 sites, mostly rooftop infrastructure, that process of rebuild has already started. One site is back on the air already, believe it or not, with 8 to be completed within the next 2 weeks. So the building is happening, a restoration is taking place in the background, and 2 weeks to 75%.
Anthony Barrows, Head of Network Operations at Digicel Group. President of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, JMDA, Dr. Renee Badreau, has criticized the government for what she says is the absence of practical and immediate plans to address the plight of healthcare workers in Western Jamaica. Her criticism follows a meeting with the Health Ministry to address concerns about the state of Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James.
The JMD entered the meeting with several critical matters to address, and not only the matters but also the possible solutions. But unfortunately, while the minister presented several mid to long-term plans, practical solutions for the immediate problems at hand remained lacking and unresolved. At present, we have healthcare workers sleeping in their cars. Where are the tents that could be erected to provide temporary accommodation? Where are the facilities outside of the affected areas that could be identified and utilized to house our healthcare workers?
The JMDA says recent reports issued by the Western Regional Health Authority and Cornwall Regional do not reflect the reality on the ground. It says reports from its members indicate that the hospital is in a devastated state. Dr. Badreau is also calling for a coordinated approach to address the needs of the country's healthcare workers.
The reality is that it cannot be business as usual in the north, east, south, or west of this country after we just faced a Category 5 hurricane. There are real-time issues that demand immediate action and not future promises. And while I do not claim to speak for all healthcare workers, at the very least I can say that I speak for my doctors, that they feel abandoned and they feel forgotten. The JMDA once again calls for a decisive, compassionate, and coordinated action to address the immediate needs of our healthcare heroes on the front line.
Dr. Renee Badreau, JMDA President. More than 600 schools have now been reopened for face-to-face classes since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, provided the update during Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday.
Yesterday, the numbers that came in nationally showed 653 of our schools of the 1,010 up and running. So every day it gets better as we find the people, as we bring the hope and we encourage. People are getting up, people are bouncing back. And our principals, who are the frontline workers in our schools, they are finding themselves and finding the courage to get up and get the work going. So I can tell you by next week we should have more details as to the number of schools that should be up and running in different modalities.
Hundreds of schools across the island were impacted by Hurricane Melissa. The disruption affected more than 150,000 students, as several schools in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, St. James, and Hanover were severely damaged. Dr. Troop says the ministry is working to bridge the learning gap caused by Melissa.
People have to have access, be it the learning kits, be it the AI tools, be it the computer-aided learning, whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily mean online, because we know that there are challenges with online.
Yes.
We have been providing Starlink in some of those schools. We have to get the internet up and running, working with our service providers to make sure that even within that local space, there is an opportunity of learning. So we're looking at the extended day, we're looking at self-paced learning, we're looking at tools that children can take home and come back for feedback.
Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education. And in news just in, Nationwide News understands that a unit of the Jamaica Fire Brigade is currently at a business establishment located on Orange Street in downtown Kingston. According to reports, smoke was seen coming from a window on the building, but there is no sign of a blaze. The brigade has gained entry into the establishment and is trying to ascertain the origin of the smoke. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Jamaica made a winning start to their campaign at the Caribbean Women's Basketball Championships with a lopsided 86-47 victory over Suriname at the Cliff Anderson Hall in Georgetown, Guyana. Jamaica jumped into a 37-8 advantage at the end of the first quarter. Suriname won the second quarter 16-13, but Jamaica had an overall 50-24 lead at the break. Jamaica poured on the pressure in the third quarter, which ended 73-32 before going on to win impressively. Tiffany Reynolds led the scoring for Jamaica with 26 points and 9 rebounds, while Sasha Fairweather scored 15 points and grabbed 3 rebounds. The Jamaicans will next be in action on Friday against the Bahamas. Captain of the West Indies, Shai Hope, is backing his team to come good and level the 5-match T20 International Series against New Zealand. The teams meet in the decisive final game in Dunedin this evening at 7:30 Jamaica time. The Caribbean men started the series brightly with a 7-run victory in the opening match, but the Black Caps fought back strongly, clinching the second by 3 runs and the third by 9 runs to take a 2-1 series lead. The fourth encounter was abandoned due to rain, leaving the visitors with no chance of claiming an outright series win. Hope expressed disappointment that the weather robbed his team of the opportunity, but said the Windies remain determined to finish on a high.
The unfortunate reality is that we can't win this series, that last game that was rained out. But we still put ourselves in a position to finish on square terms. Something when you go to foreign conditions and foreign places, sometimes you got to take what you get. But certainly 2-2 will look a lot better than 3-1 to New Zealand. So that's something that we're certainly hoping for. And still many positives that you can take from this series, especially coming from the previous one where the conditions were so different in terms of ball spinning a bit more, not bouncing as much, and then transferring that information that we would have had previously to come here and then put up such great fight in the first game to start the series off. Well, yeah, but we got a very big game. It's important that we can finish this series very strong.
The 32-year-old skipper also acknowledged that conditions could once again play a key role in the outcome.
You got to assess whenever you get there. It looks pretty windy, so I think that will play a big factor when it comes to one side. Not quite sure what to expect as yet, but we just got to go by some of the data that we've collected and then try to use that to our advantage.
Shai Hope. With both teams eager to finish the series strongly, fans can expect an intense contest under the lights as the Windies look to square the series 2-2 and take momentum into their next assignment. Jamaica's Brandon King has lost his place in the West Indies one-day international squad due to a decline in form. King was not named in the 15-man squad for the 3-match series against New Zealand starting on November 16 in Christchurch. His place has gone to another Jamaican, John Campbell, who had a fairly strong Super 50 regional tournament last year and his recent test success in India. John Lane has also been drafted in to support a pace bowling unit that will be missing Alzari Joseph, Shamar Joseph, Roman Simmons, and Jajael Blades due to injury. The 3-match series against the number 2 ranked New Zealand is a prime opportunity for the West Indies to get important ranking points towards automatic qualification to the 2027 World Cup. Now to football, as St. James-based Malden High School is now in a race against time to be ready for the resumption of the schoolboy football season, which has been halted by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The restart of the season has been tentatively scheduled for the end of November, but for Malden, one of the school's hardest hit, the resumption could come too early. Coach Dylan Thelwell told Nationwide Sports that he hasn't been able to make contact with the majority of his squad since the hurricane on October 28. Jamaica's head coach Steve McLaren says Trinidad and Tobago's current position in Group B of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers will make them a very dangerous side when the two Caribbean rivals meet at the Hazel Crawford Stadium on Thursday. The Reggae Boys sit atop the group with 9 points from 4 matches, while the Soca Warriors are third on 5 and in need of a win to keep their 2026 World Cup hopes alive. McLaren believes that desperation could make the home team even tougher to face. Despite Jamaica's strong position, McLaren warns that complacency could be costly. He emphasized that defensive organization will be key to earning a result in Port of Spain.
The best laid plans. This is also a must-win game for us. I know everyone looks at the points but everywhere we go, we come to win, and so that's what we've been doing. We put a team out that we think can win the game, and we go for winning the game. But I've got to say, we've come across Trinidad and Tobago many times now, and they're improving every game. And they're getting better and better. Been very unlucky, I thought, twice against Curaçao. So we know this is not going to be easy tomorrow in a team that Trinidad have to fight to win.
Now, sports analyst Leighton Levy has voiced strong opposition to the sweeping changes announced for the athletics schedule at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, calling the new format a move made for television, not for athletics. For the first time in Olympic history, athletics will span the entire duration of the Games, beginning on July 15, 2028 and concluding on the final day. Owen Buchanan tells us more.
The competition will open with one of the sport's most thrilling events, the women's 100 meters, with all 3 rounds including the final set for day 1. The men's 10,000 meters and the women's shot put finals will also take place during the opening session, while the men's 100 meters final is scheduled for day 2. In total, 17 of the 20 athletic sessions will feature medal events, with the schedule designed to maximize athlete participation and highlight potential doubles, such as the 100 and 200 meters, 200 and 400 meters, and the long jump triple jump combination. However, Levy, a respected commentator, believes the new format prioritizes broadcast spectacle over athlete welfare.
They're made for TV but runs the risk of injuries to athletes. If an athlete comes into competition nursing an injury, that would be better managed over a 48-hour period as opposed to within the first 12 hours of competition. That athlete runs the risk of picking up a more severe injury. No athlete actually runs 100% healthy. It's rare when that happens. So to have all 3 rounds of the 100 meters at the very elite level of competition on the same day, to me, is ridiculous. And of course, if you're going to go through that process of having the mixed relays between the 100 and 200, what difference does it make? Why not just have the events as they are and run the relays in that time that you would have scheduled to run the other event in the first place?
Levy argued that the condensed scheduling of marquee events like the 100 meters could limit athlete recovery and compromise performance quality.
I understand there's a need to fit track and field within television schedules, but if we want truly exciting and high-level performances right across the board from our athletes, I think we need to give them sufficient time to recover and recuperate so that they can best perform for the crowds that come out to see them. This repechage round, we saw it in Tokyo, didn't make much sense because it is rare when an athlete actually makes it through a repechage round and to advance to the next round of competition, because if they weren't good enough to begin with, they're certainly not going to be good enough when it comes on to the crunch time anyway.
Oreen Buchanan reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you, Oreen. And finally, in squash, Guyana has been named in the new host of the 2025 Caribbean Era Squash Association Senior Championships as Jamaica was forced to withdraw. The tournament is set to run from November 23 to 30 and is expected to see around 130 players from around the region. Charles Ramson, Guyana's sports minister, says his country is capable of hosting a top-quality event despite the late notice.
Guyana is now going to be hosting the Senior CASA at the end of the month. Now, because Jamaica is unable to host, and Guyana is the only suitable location to host because of the investment that we have made. But 29 international events in the country. 29. That means that almost actually every other week in this country, we were hosting an international event, sporting event in this country.
According to Ramson, this speaks to the solid sporting infrastructure of the country, while noting that Guyana is among the best hosting destinations in the world.
I would challenge many other countries in the world to say that they were hosting international sporting events every other week in their country.
Charles Ramson, he was speaking at the National Sports Awards ceremony Jamaica was unable to host the tournament due to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Gale from Oasis, advising of a change in our program focus, November 5 to 18. We do a shift from reading the Word to living out the Word. Host Roland Gale will speak with heads of churches regarding their intervention in getting our lives back on track following Hurricane Melissa. Be sure to join Roland and his guests on Oasis beginning Wednesday, November 5, 12:55 p.m. with a repeat at 5:45 a.m. only on Nationwide, the new revolution in media. Let's all be praying for our nation.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. I've no house, I've nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need this for respect.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19 every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dusk,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The E-Zone is here for you.
With this thing, Honeybee.
And Kareem Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I am Robeanne Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section. That's for our YouTubers on today's Public Opinion. Still talking about Hurricane Melissa. I don't know when we are going to stop talking about Hurricane Melissa. So many, such devastation. So many have lost their homes. And that's what we're getting to for this evening. We want to ask you, members of the public, how would you suggest the government address the housing crisis created by Hurricane Melissa? That's the public opinion. As I said earlier, YouTubers, please feel free to comment in the comment section. I'll start with the comments. Yes, on Facebook or Facebook platform, where Kurt Powell is saying assist household where necessary and encourage them to build more resilient weatherproof buildings. Okay. Clifton Ricardo Russell is saying by not taking any suggestions from the opposition and stay away from them as possible. Okay. Jermaine is saying, wow, this is going to take the whole of the PM's third term to build back. Most people will have to move from board structure to concrete structure. They will have change They will have to change rather how they build, what they used to build, and where they build. Cannot go back to how it was before. They now have to build back with wisdom and how to storm-proof and hurricane-proof themselves for the future. Marvi Robinson is saying her suggestion is for those who do not have their own land, create apartment complex that will withstand any natural disaster. For those with land, the government can assist with container houses because it's the only short-term solution right now to have roof over everyone's head. And for those, rebuilding enforcement must be put in place to build concrete structures with decking and no zinc roof. So the question we're asking you, members of the public, how would you suggest the government address the housing crisis created by Hurricane Melissa? Housing crisis, that is what it is at this point in time. Many are homeless. Carlington Bartley, under normal circumstances, demand was greater than supply. Recovering from a disaster, it will be seen as cruelty to enforce rules on people who just want a roof over their head. Marvin T is saying prefab or container homes through Food for the Poor. So that suggestion is coming from Marvin for prefab or container homes through Food for the Poor. George Elliott is saying a combination of prefabricated houses and retrofitted containers would be the fastest way to get the housing stock back up to speed. All right, let's hear what Philip Jackson has to say. It's no question the building principles have to be changed, especially when it comes to roofing structure and style. They can establish apartment complex in suitable areas, and we must now build knowing where we are in the hurricane belt. No more huts and call them house. We must have a building standard where every builder must follow. Okay. Prince Wellington is saying, lend the people a few houses. Lend a few houses along with the generators and that they got to give. Okay. All right. According to Ian G. Campbell, we should call China. If you're just joining us, we're asking, how would you suggest the government address the housing crisis created by Hurricane Melissa? Some things we've heard prior. Some of the comments are suggesting prefabricated homes, also container houses through Food for the Poor. Let me see what our YouTubers are saying at this point in time. Valentina is saying it's a difficult question. Many are waiting for government to rebuild their homes and we can't afford that. I am winning right now is saying he doesn't know. Don't know how to address this housing crisis. Lots of people to consider. And, well, questioning, can we help all of them? Leroy Rotti, I see you saying I'm in the kitchen. Okay, all right. Big up yourself in the kitchen, Leroy Rotti. I see you. Let me see. Based on history, the PNP had a better track record for housing solutions, so ask the opposition for help. That's according to Unstoppable Josh. Cherry Carey saying the church that blow down never make off board. Yeah? The building codes should be raised and buildings should be reinforced, concrete with slab roof. Also, buildings should be forbidden in areas that were flooded by Melissa. That's coming from Jamaican for Life. Let me see. All these people who get affected can't meet the government halfway. That's something coming. That's a comment rather coming from Maxine Anderson. Reggae-matic says it's left up to the City Planning Committee of Jamaica. Yeah. And Natasha is suggesting that for elderly, apartment buildings must be 65 and over. Nylan is saying help only the most vulnerable. Well, at this point in time, everybody vulnerable because they lost everything. They lost some of the people. They lost everything. They don't have no structure. They don't have They don't have nothing. No foundation. No nothing. Everything gone off of the land. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Crane Road had big, pretty concrete houses. Enough villas on Crane Road, says Cherry Care. Yeah. Jamaica is not a first world country. People have to start working together to build themselves, says Mona Speaks. All right, let me see. All these people who get affected. Okay, yes, Maxine had already said that. Oh boy. One thing is for certain, two things are for sure, yeah? A lot of people were left homeless, and it's just truly devastating. And we hope and pray that we can get back to not necessarily where we were or where they were, but to some. It's a difficult question. Yes, Robert Lewis. It's really a difficult question, and Robert Lewis is saying yes, they have to rebuild little by little. It's gonna take all hands on deck, literally deck. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Wait. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The U.S. is set to make its final penny. The Philadelphia Mint will strike its last batch of 1-cent coins on Wednesday after more than 230 years of production. Now, the coins will remain in circulation, but the phase-out has already prompted businesses to start adjusting prices as they say pennies are becoming harder to find. The government says the move will save money, or as President Donald Trump put it in February when he first announced the plans, rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. That's according to U.S. President Donald Trump. In the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 23 cents to buy $1 US, 212 Jamaican dollars and 36 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 115 Jamaican dollars and 53 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Run for rights, give for relief. Join Jamaicans for Justice at the Run for Rights 5K Run Walk, November 30, 6 a.m. sharp at the Police Officers Club, Kingston. Choose your cause: human rights, child rights, climate justice, or ending gender-based violence. Only $2,500 to enter. Medals, trophies, and more. Register now at my.raceresult.com/355144. Part proceeds in aid of hurricane relief. You can bring your essential items on race day. Every donation counts. Call 876-239-7583 for details.
Attention Megamart Montego Bay team members. The Megamart family would like to know if you are safe and well. Please join us for an important meeting at Megamart Montego Bay on Friday, November 14, 2025 at 10 a.m. If you are a family member or friend of a Megamart Montego Bay team member, please help us in getting this message to them. Thank you and stay safe.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Gale from Oasis, advising of a change in our program focus, November 5 to 18. We do a shift from reading the Word to living out the Word. Host Roland Gale will speak with heads of churches regarding their intervention in getting our lives back on track following Hurricane Melissa. Be sure to join Roland and his guests on Oasis beginning Wednesday, November 5, 12:55 p.m., with a repeat at 5:45 a.m. Only on Nationwide, the new revolution in media. Let's all be praying for our nation.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs, and loan entertainment. Come on the road with we. Cause when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. Don't forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome the Shell Boss, I'm gonna make it bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tune. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need this for respect.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Give us strength. Never let I fail.
Good evening again, listeners and viewers. Welcome back. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis.
Before we get right into it, Sanjay, I just want to explain why this is here. We had the House of Representatives meeting yesterday, and of course, what took up the bulk of the time was matters relating to Hurricane Melissa. But at the very end, almost to the very end of the sitting, MP for Southwest St. Catherine, that's Everald Warmington, he tabled or opened the debate on quite a few motions in relation to electoral reform, and I did not want them to get lost, so to speak, in the news cycle, because a lot is said about Everald Warmington, but when it comes to matters of parliamentary procedure and matters of electoral reform, he does seem to have a very good mind, a very good understanding, and in all the issues that are troubling Jamaica over the last few weeks, I did not want this to just go uncovered. So
I think it's very important, Siobhan, and the motion bring forward by Member Warmington is one that it's worth discussing within the Parliament, and I'm hoping that we will see a resolution and it be passed. But as Siobhan indicated, MP for Southwest St. Catherine, that's Everald Warmington, has opened debate on several private members' motion aimed at sweeping electoral reform. The senior parliamentarian used the close of Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives to have the motions read into the record. One of the suggestions is the allowance of additional symbols beyond an X to signify voter intention.
Private members' motion number 1 said, whereas the road infrastructure in most of the housing schemes in Jamaica are in deplorable conditions, and whereas these roads continue to deteriorate without any maintenance by government, and whereas such action by government results in severe difficulties and suffering for Jamaicans living in these housing schemes, and where these residents are taxpayers, most of whom are poor, less fortunate Jamaicans, be it resolved that Parliament calls on the government to immediately assume full responsibility for all road infrastructures in housing schemes throughout Jamaica and commence repairs and rehabilitation needed to bring all these roads in proper and usable conditions. And be it further resolved that in all future development, a condition of the developmental approval is that at the time of issuance of the first title to a homeowner, the titles to all road infrastructure and common areas be transferred to the local government, Kingston St. Andrew Corporation, or any other local authority, including but not limited to National Works Agency, in order that such entity can exercise the right of ownership inclusive of maintenance. What does that mean, Madam Speaker? Is that you have housing schemes or development from 1951, Hurricane Ivan, and all of these housing schemes ever since then, they are not the responsibilities for maintenance are not assumed by government. And when you ask, government said those are development, they are not governmental scheme. I brought this here before, it went to cabinet before, it was sent to the then Minister Noel Ascott, who didn't deal with it, that's why I'm back here with it again. So I'm asking that government, that this Parliament calls on the government to take responsibility for all of these roads. Because the residents keep on calling on the parish councillors and the members of Parliament to assist the repairs. And we cannot do it because government has not assumed responsibilities. And I'm not coming to that later on. But I'm asking now that we cut this nonsense about these are not government roads, and that we as Parliament direct that the government takes responsibility for all of these roads. Private members number 2 says, whereas Section 35, subsection 3 of Representation of People Act states that the elector shall forthwith enter the enclosed area of the polling center, so provided and there mark a cross with a black lead pencil within the space containing the name of the candidate of his choice, and where there are other implements that can be used. Be it resolved that this Honourable House takes the necessary action to have the appropriate amendment done to Section 35, subsection 3 or Representation of People Act, provide that any implement that an elector finds appropriate or convenient to use to make the required mark shall be lawful. And be it further resolved that further amendment be made to the said Section 35, subsection 3 of the Representative People Act to make any mark on a ballot by an elector in the space containing the name of the candidate of his choice or the intent of the elector can be discerned shall be valid and not be limited to a cross. In the last election, in the election 2020, you have 284 ballots rejected in Southwest St. Catherine. The last election, we have 342 rejected. And as stand there, constituencies were up to 600 ballots were rejected. There are some, you have 500, up some to close to 1,000 ballots rejected because they claim it was not a perfect X. You have a whole woman in the country who has a shaky hand and cannot do a clear, distinct ballot. They are rejected. You have cases where the presiding officers counted these ballots as being valid, but yet you have these new young lawyers from electoral office at the final count rejected these ballots and say you must take it to court. Why the hell do you want to take it to court when they're ballots? What I'm saying, once the intent of the elector is there, it must be counted as a valid ballot. It must be counted. So I'm asking that this section be amended to put intent. Once the intent is there, the ballot must be counted. And you can have some young lawyers say must reject and go to court. Go to court for what? So I'm asking that we make this amendment.
So that amendment there put forward by Everald Warmington and the one before it regarding the maintenance of roads, which is quite important considering what just happened in terms of Hurricane Melissa and what proper road maintenance means in terms of drainage. So, I mean, people criticize Everald Warmington, rightly so. I will not suggest Everald Warmington is a perfect individual, and his flaws sometimes may mar what is actually beneath in terms of his parliamentary mind and his understandings of the electoral system. Because why must it be an X simply for the sake of what? History? Can't we use a tick? Some other mark?
But the point is important, Siobhan, because every time we have elections, thousands of ballots are rejected because the mark is unclear, it's too faint, it's outside the box, it's not exactly an X. However, if it goes to a magisterial recount, the court then has the authority to look on the intent of the voter. Yeah? So even if it's not a clearly defined X, if the X shapes like a curve or something, and it's beside a particular symbol, it goes to that candidate. So the point that Everald Warmington is raising now is very valid, because why not just allow it? Yeah? Because as he indicated, not everyone probably can mark that perfect X. Some people mark a tick. Doesn't mean that they don't know who they want to vote for.
Yeah, and the voting intention is clear. You see the right beside it, there's no reason for that to go to a magisterial recount. It should be a clear understanding of the intention in terms of voters.
But on top of it too, Siobhan, the law as it stands now is so strict. So the polling clerk and the presiding officers, when they're doing the count, they have to follow what the law says, even though it's evident to everyone there the intent of the voter.
Yeah. So Mr. Warmington is also proposing that outdoor agents selected by the candidates in an election be allowed to set up closer to the polling station they're assigned to.
Private members 3, whereas Section 41A, subsection 1 of the Representation of People Act specify that every candidate in an election may appoint such person as he thinks fit to be outdoor agent, and shall issue to any such outdoor agent appointed by him a certificate of appointment in the prescribed form, specifying the polling station in respect of which the candidate, the agent is appointed. And where in many cases, returning officers, election day workers, auxiliary, or one-day police and members of security forces are prevented these said agents from effectively carrying out the function for which they were appointed. The law says there should be, and where Section 77, subsection 1 of the Representation of People Act does not specify, does not apply to the outdoor agent. I'm asking that Section 41A, subsection 3 be amended to allow the outdoor agent to stay less than the 20 yards away from the polling station. There are cases when the outdoor agent are around the corner, where they can't see what's happening. If they are appointed by the candidate and the roper makes provision for them, they should be within the precinct of voting, by the door of the polling station, where they can effectively carry out the duties for which they were appointed. Therefore, I'm asking that 41A subsection 1 be amended to allow the outdoor agent to be within the precinct of the voting.
So, Everett Warmington there.
We have to, though, look on why is it that the law stipulates that. And remember back in the days, you know, in the 80s, 90s, when you had voter intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah? It was created to prevent the intimidation of voters. It was created to prevent campaigning at the gate. Yeah? To maintain order, to reduce congestion, to protect the secrecy of the vote. All those things. So we have to really put everything into context. That's one worth discussing. But we really need to look at the ramifications of it. If the parliamentarians decide that, look, they're accepting that motion put forward by Everett Warmington.
I'm sure there are discussions to be had with the ECJ and the EOJ in terms of the actual nitty-gritty of voting on the day of the election. But these discussions must be had because many of these principles and practices that we have, as you said, come from a period much different than what Jamaica is today. So maybe the rules should be changed as a result of the change in the temperature of our elections nowadays, which are mostly free and fair, no intimidation to speak of really on the actual premises of the polling station. So is there a need for the outdoor agents to be so far away from the polling station when the purpose of the outdoor agents, as I understand it, is to oversee the electoral process for their respective candidate, to say at the end of the day, yes, boss, everything went smoothly, everything went well, there were no complaints, or I saw this irregularity that you might need to address.
What I would suggest, though, Siobhan, because we have to be very careful. Some polling stations may be able to have the tents closer, but we have to be careful about the congestion that it may create, and also individuals, unfortunately, campaigning. Maybe the specific agents, so the exact tent may not necessarily have to move, but specific agents are strategically placed within the precincts of the polling station to guide those individuals as to which PD, polling division they should join, which line they should join, etc. But I'm not so sure about the entire tent with all the outdoor agents being moved closer inside.
Well, Mr. Warmington also called for the time for voting to be extended, as well as a re-verification of the voters list.
Private members motion number 4, where Section 33 of Representation of People Act specifies that the poll shall be taken in each polling station between the hours of 7 o'clock in the forenoon and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And whereas there are many changes to the circumstances which influence the setting of the time for polling, and whereas we are now in an electronic age, be it resolved that Section 33 of Representation of People Act be amended, allowing the time for polling on election day to be between the hours of 7 in the forenoon and 6 in the afternoon. There are many establishments that do not allow the 2 hours for workers to go and vote. And it prevents these voters, these electors, from casting a vote for the candidate. So by closing at 5, when work ends at 4, 4:30 at 5, it robs these electors of a chance or the opportunity to cast their ballots. I'm asking that we amend Section 33 to make it that the poll opens at 7 in the forenoon until 6 in the afternoon. Private motion number 5, where Section 44, subsection 3 of the Representation of People Act states, if in the course of counting the votes, any ballot paper is found with this counterfoil still attached thereto, The presiding officer shall carefully concealing numbers thereon from all persons present, and without examining them himself, remove and destroy such counterfoil. He shall not reject the ballot merely by reason of his former failure to remove the counterfoil. Be it resolved that this section be amended to had or the counterfoil have been removed above or below the perforated line. There are times when the perforation are not properly done. Therefore, in removing that counterfoil, it is torn above and below the line. It should not be that is rejected. It is not the fault of the elector that the presiding officer may be in incompetence or because it was not perforated properly. It is torn above or below. The ballot must be counted because it has nothing to do with the elector why it was not torn properly. So I'm asking that this section be amended. So wherever it is torn, the ballot should be a valid ballot. Private members' motion number 6. Whereas a partially certification of the voters list was done more than 15 years ago, and whereas the current voter list reflects a distorted number of actual electors in Jamaica, but instead an inflated number. And whereas the number given after election as a voter turnout do not reflect the true percentage. Be it resolved that the government immediately provides the funds necessary for Electoral Office of Jamaica to embark on a total revocation of voters in Jamaica. We can't have a voter list that it is not something you can rely on. So talking about voter apathy is rubbish. Because what we have in the list does not reflect the true number of the electors in the country. And it's high time for us to do a total revocation or re-enumeration of voters in this country. I'm asking that this Parliament calls on the government to provide the funds necessary to immediately start re-verification of voters in this country.
Everald Warmington there, the Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Catherine. I said it at the top, Sergeant, I will say it again.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Mr. Warmington's rougher edges, I think I would rate him as one of the best parliamentarians to date. If only not for those rougher edges.
Yeah,
he has a firm understanding of the electoral system and the parliamentary system and where it needs to be changed and what needs to be shored up.
And the standing orders of the Parliament. He's very versed as it relates to that. Before we take the break, Siobhan, I want to quickly add, a discussion that we need to have too is about maybe absentee voting or special voting. You have individuals, thousands of people, they work far from home, they have to travel on election day, and they cannot reasonably return to their constituency. And those voters often do not get the chance to vote, even though they're fully eligible. And maybe we need to look at how a special process for those persons to vote. Maybe they vote when you have the one-day police officers and the electoral day workers. They register to do it. But there has to be a way that we do not disenfranchise those people because of the fact that they have work. Yeah, something to consider.
Precisely. And you raise a good point. It could be a potential that, as you put it, you could have a certain allowance for individuals who say, okay, we'll definitely not be able to vote on the day.
Yeah.
Allow us to, as you said, go through a process, register to vote early, because there are states in the U.S. that allow early voting under the same premise that on the day you vote ahead of time and your vote will be counted on the actual day. I don't think it's beyond us in terms of technology and just how things have progressed in terms of our trust in the system, and just the integrity of the system itself has improved to the point that I think we can make those allowances going forward.
Even if we're not at the stage where we have the mail-in ballot, at least when we have the election day workers voting, maybe those individuals could vote at a constituency outside of the one that they live, and then that ballot is sent to the constituency that they actually live in, and it's added to the count. when the ballot box is open for counting.
Yes. So kudos to Everett Warmington bringing this to the floor of the Parliament. If you listen to his contributions over the years in terms of private members' motions and other contributions, they have been substantial. It's just, as I said, he has some tendencies that tend to rub people the wrong way. But if you look past it, you can see that he is one of the better parliamentarians. So kudos to him. We take a break and come back, listeners.
The Pink Run, a corporate wellness challenge, encourages physical activity, healthy eating, and age-appropriate health checks. Remember, early detection saves lives. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It's 4 minutes past 7.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers. We now turn back to Hurricane Melissa relief matters. Several non-governmental organizations have been assisting in the government's recovery and relief efforts. Teams from Jamaica Red Cross have been on the ground in areas worst affected by Hurricane Melissa, supporting communities and distributing humanitarian aid. They have launched an emergency appeal to assist to 180,000 people affected by the hurricane over the next 2 years. Well, for more on the relief efforts being coordinated by the Emergency Services Manager at the Jamaica Red Cross, we have Liska Powell. Good evening, Ms. Powell.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
It is good to have you and good to hear about your contributions to the hurricane relief effort. On that matter, what has the Jamaica Red Cross been doing on the ground since Hurricane Melissa?
So we have been doing quite a lot, fulfilling our role as auxiliary to the government. To date, we have supported approximately 3,000 households with the distribution of food and non-food items. When I say non-food items, I'm referring to tarpaulins, shelter toolkits, blankets, cleaning kits, hygiene kits, to highlight a few of those non-food items that we have been distributed in the worst affected communities. One of the key things that we have also been supporting is mental health and psychosocial support. We do have a team of volunteers. They're counseling psychologists. Some are clinical psychologists or just counselors. And we have deployed them to the field supporting the distribution efforts to have an initial intervention with some of the persons who have been affected in the western parishes. In fact, on Monday, we sent in a team of 5 of these persons to the Petersfield High School, which is currently being served as an emergency shelter in Westmoreland. And we had a wonderful session with some of the shelterees who were present, to include children.
Mm-hmm. And talk to us on the type of support that your organization is giving to the communities at this stage of the response, whether it be food, shelter, I'm assuming psychosocial assistance also?
Yes. So as I mentioned before, we are distributing food packages as well as I mentioned before, non-food items, the tarpaulins, to provide, some amount of coverage from the elements, cleaning kits and hygiene kits. We have female hygiene kits with feminine products, and also hygiene kits specifically targeting men. One other effort that we have also been supporting with is what we call Restoring Family Links. We have activated that service. So essentially, it helps to reconnect families who have lost contact, say, during crises or emergencies. One of the things that we have been doing is working with the Tourism Emergency Operations Center to assist tourists who need to reach their family members overseas. Likewise, locally, we have been receiving calls and requests from locals who are unable to reach family members in some of the worst affected parishes, such as St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. So that is also an area that we have been providing support on the ground to help people to reconnect with their families.
Right. Could you give us some more detail on that? Because I know many individuals, have not been able to get in contact with their families and friends. Is it that there's a number that those are overseas would call to give the information, and then those on the ground would go out to look for those individuals?
Yes, so it's a process. I can share the numbers with you. There are two numbers that we're currently using. The first is 876-361-2407. And the other number is 876-665-6891. So once the call is received, the information is collected, it is logged, it goes through a process, and then through our volunteer network on the ground, we try to reach these persons. So we have 13 branches, and we work through our branches to provide the support on the ground as well as to reach persons who are affected. Generally speaking, that is how we operate, through our branch network and our volunteers in each respective parish.
And is there, just a follow-up, Siobhan, to that one, and is there an opening time and a closing time for the lines, or is it 24 hours?
All right, so because we're now in an emergency, our EOC is still more or less activated. We will receive calls, I think, reasonably up to 8 p.m. I mean, the team is extremely tired, and so we're trying to, balance ourselves because we do have quite a long stretch to go. And so, I think up to 8 p.m., from 8:30 to 8 p.m. is reasonable.
So tell us, Ms. Paul, you've put out an appeal for assistance to 180,000 people. How do you intend to go about providing that assistance, and what do you need from the public in terms of helping to put that forward?
All right, so we have identified a number of planned areas that we will target through the emergency appeal. We will be looking at a number of initiatives. One, for example, is cash and voucher assistance. We will be looking at what we call multi-purpose cash that we will provide to beneficiaries who are affected. We will also, under the cash and voucher assistance, we'll be targeting livelihood restoration. We have not finalized yet the livelihood groups that we will be supporting, but historically we have supported the agriculture sector to include farmers and fishers. We did that last year during Hurricane Beryl. So we'll be supporting through cash and voucher assistance. Resilient housing, we want to assist. We know that the housing sector was significantly impacted in the western section of the island. Other areas, again, to build out or supporting mental health and psychosocial support. Also looking at supporting what we call community cleanups, hygiene and health promotion. So there are a number of areas that we intend to support as it relates to, as we move into the recovery phase. We're currently in the process of just building out a little bit more, the details of these program areas. We're also supporting, I should mention, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security with the conduct of the household damage and needs assessment, and we will use that data to guide our interventions in terms of the selection of the beneficiaries, and also to work with other government and humanitarian actors on the ground to minimize duplication. And I think that is key for us. So we're, working with our partners and to finalize the plan so that we can move to implementation as soon as possible.
And just to follow up on something you mentioned earlier, you did say you provide feminine hygiene products and other such necessities that sometimes they tend to be forgotten in the greater tragedy, and they're very important in terms of allowing women to function essentially in such a circumstance. How do you go about that distribution, and does it extend beyond that to say things like contraception?
No, not contraception. Not contraception. We do have an overall health program that deals with that aspect, but specifically related to Hurricane Melissa, the focus is on the distribution of hygiene kits. Hygiene kits, we do the distribution at the emergency shelters, and it is also done at the household level through, again, our volunteers who are on the ground. They understand the community and they understand the needs on the ground, and they lead that process for us.
Mm-hmm. And for individuals and organizations listening, how can they contribute to the appeal or the support or to support the work that you're doing?
All right, so there are a number of ways. One, I mean, if you want to contribute cash to the appeal in terms of supporting the planned areas of intervention, that is one way. We do need volunteers, and so we welcome persons who are willing to volunteer their time and expertise to assist us to get a number of things moving, especially in the field, reaching the communities and the affected population as quickly as possible. So from, communications to other mental health practitioners to health practitioners, engineers, we welcome different expertise of persons to volunteer their services. We also welcome, youth. We do have a youth arm of the Jamaica Red Cross, and at this point, this is also making an appeal, asking for volunteers to support our efforts.
And you make mention of that you hope to do this assistance over the next 2 years.
2 years.
So the Red Cross accepts that this is not going to be a quick recovery. Do you have the plans and the resources in place to maintain that kind of push?
Yes, we do have support from the International Federation of Red Cross and the Red Crescent Societies. So a key part of what the support they have provided is with key, what we call surge personnel in different areas, to include shelter, to include supply chain, for example, information management, the cash and voucher assistance that I mentioned earlier. We also have water, sanitation, and hygiene. So we have received support through the International Federation to shore up the staff of the Jamaica Red Cross to ensure that we are able to implement the various programmatic areas that we intend to over the next 2 years.
And more generally, what has been the response like so far from the Jamaican public, the private sector, and more generally the international partners?
I think overall, I mean, from what I have seen, I think there are various actors on the ground. I know through the Humanitarian Assistance Committee of the National Disaster Risk Management Council, a significant effort is being placed on reporting and ensuring that we avoid duplication. So one of the things that we're asked to do is to report the areas that we have served on a daily basis so that we ensure that, we're reaching communities very quickly and we're avoiding the duplication of efforts on the ground. And that is how we have been working as a group and as a team.
That is Liska Powell. She is the Emergency Services Manager at the Jamaica Red Cross. Thank you so much for joining us, Liska, and all the best on the ground. We hope you reach that target of 180,000 people assisted over the next 2 years.
Yes, we do hope so, and perhaps you can invite us again sometime in the near future to see how we are with reaching that target.
Most definitely, and we hope we can funnel as much help to you as possible in this regard.
Indeed.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You too. Take care.
Well, listeners, we go to the break and then we come back. There will be no watchman this evening, as I understand it, so we go straight to your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-6730.
Jamaica's poverty rate has dropped from 16.7% to 8.2%. As the government's economic program begins to pay off, our country is heading towards sustained growth. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is...
It's 7:19.
Attention Megamart Montego Bay team members. The Megamart family would like to know if you are safe and well. Please join us for an important meeting at Megamart Montego Bay on Friday, November 14, 2025 at 10 a.m. If you are a family member or friend of a Megamart Montego Bay team member, please help us in getting this message to them. Thank you and stay safe.
Taboo topics.
Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Voyagings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Voyagings After Dark.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need this for respect.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Give us strength. Oh, never let I fail.
Welcome back, listeners. As said, taking your calls, and for those who didn't hear the numbers, 630-937-124 and 618-6730. Ulrich, you're on the line. Good evening.
You're breaking up, Ulrich.
You break up, please.
Yeah, that sound better?
Yes, go ahead.
How are you doing?
Doing
Good, how are you?
Doing all right, all under the circumstances. How about you? How are things at your place?
I'm doing well under the circumstances. This is the first time I'm hearing you guys.
You're breaking up there again, Ulrich. Try again?
I'm saying this is the first time I'm hearing you guys again.
Okay. Seriously? The first time you're hearing me and Sanjay specifically?
I'm almost sure I spoke to Ulrich last week.
Please call back, Ulrich. Your line breaking up there badly. So please try to call us back, Ulrich. Bobby, you're up.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Sandra.
Hello, Bobby. How are you?
I'm okay. Sandra, it was your family member who live in St. Elizabeth or
Westmoreland.
Oh, Westmoreland, yes. So do you hear anything from them as yet?
Yes, man. Heard everything. Been in contact. We're just doing the rebuilding phase now because My mom lost her roof, and my grandma lost a section of her roof. So we're in the rebuilding process and slowly getting back stuff for the house because it's so much. It's one thing for the roof to go off, but the rain damaged most of the contents within the house.
Oh Lord. Yeah. I can understand. But thank God they are still alive though.
Yeah, you know, and what is so funny also, Bobby, is that the water on the outside she indicated to me was at breast height.
Oh Lord.
And then she went outside, you know, trying to navigate herself after the hurricane, slipped, fell below the water. Luckily, she was able to regain herself to get back up. You know, so I'm really grateful that all is well with her. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yes, but what I want to call about is I really endorse what Everald Warmington had said in Parliament yesterday, but I will just add something to it. I think what the government should do now, when there is a general election and a local government election, they should announce those 2 days as public holiday. I might be wrong, but I am just throwing that out there.
I hear you, but I think the disruption that would cause to things like commerce, I don't know if it would be appreciated. But
business operators would not be happy about that. You don't like the holidays, you know, because it affects commerce, as Siobhan indicated.
But I do think greater allowances can be provided in terms of the time and allowing people to vote ahead of time in order to make the process a little bit more smooth. For example, for a reporter on election day, getting the time to vote can be so difficult. Even if the allowance is made by your employer. We're talking about you might be covering somebody all the way out in Westmoreland, but your vote might be all the way over in St. Thomas.
Right. Yes,
So it really so allowing even workers in circumstances like that you know will be essential for election day, because I would assume you would consider a reporter essential for election day. You should allow them to vote ahead of time. I think that is something that should be put forward and allow just anyone generally who say, well, I know I'm not going to be able to vote that day. Please let me sign a form.
There's a genuine need. Yeah.
Let me sign a form. Let me fill out what needs to be. Let me do the process and then allow me that time ahead to just get it out of the way.
Right, true. I really agree too. And one last thing I would like to talk to you about is I think it was Clifford. I can't remember Clifford who I was talking to the other day, and I was telling him about a principal, a vice principal, who the both of us clash. When he's trying to turn this Melissa relief thing into a political football, and he's talking about, and the committee, it's only the government members alone on it, and there are no PMP opposition spokesperson on it. I wonder if he hear what took place in Parliament yesterday. I'm so happy when Minister Green read out a letter coming from Philip Palwell, when the government invited them to put somebody on the committee, right, to manage the distribution of the relief process, and the PMP refused, right? So I just want people to just sit down and analyze, because the government is reaching out to them and said, hey, look here, it's our brothers and sisters down in the western side of the country got damaged. We are putting the politics behind us, right? So please come on board and help us. And they refuse. I have to wonder to myself, what is this PMP opposition want? Do they mean the country any good? Or they are trying to force their way into government? Huh?
If I could just add, the People's National Party, they sent a release at about
what I'm pulling up
today.
Yes, it's what I was pulling up.
And what they indicated is that they have been consistent about how the government should approach this process, and they're saying that what they want is the establishment of a broad-based national task force comprising representatives of the government, the opposition, private sector, civil society, to ensure that there's transparency, accountability, and some other things in the process. I don't see anything wrong with the call. What they're saying now is that the proposal for a unified task force that was never intended to be a parliamentary committee is not what they want.
But Sandre, it is something similar is happening now because we have technical staff along with the political representative there. So make I tell you something. So that flimsy excuse that we are hearing from the government, to me, that is a no.
Yeah, but let me ask the question though. Why a joint select committee of parliament? Why not have the broad-based national task force that the opposition is calling for, where you will not only have the parliamentarians, but you will have members of civil society, members of other entities who can be part of the process? Why limit it to a parliamentary committee? I like to play the devil's advocate.
But Sanjay, why do we make the assumption that such a task force is not going to be created?
Right.
I feel like this might be an apples and oranges issue. I believe that the creation of a joint select committee does not preclude the creation of a task force on a broader scale.
But then why do we need a joint select committee then? Because
but Sandre, you have to understand one thing, remember, this is just the first step, The hurricane just gone. So, because in the western side of the country, remember, the country is going down that side. It is going to take about 5 to 7 years to come back on its feet, So later on, we don't know what will happen.
Right, but what maybe I need to look at the terms of reference for the joint select committee, because as the opposition is indicating, you already have the PAAC. Is it that the joint select committee is overseeing the spending, or how the committee or whatever that broad-based committee will be, how they will go about doing the work on the ground? I don't know. So I need to look at the guideline for the joint select committee, because it could very well mean that the PAAC could take on that responsibility, and we don't necessarily have a joint select committee.
Based on somebody who covers Parliament regularly, Sanjay, I don't know if the PAAC would be best suited, because remember, this is something happening in real time, and the matters that might crop up and need addressing in, as we would say, real time. So when you look at a matter, look at a body such as the PAC, what it does is it analyzes events that have happened and puts forward suggestions as to how we can avoid certain pitfalls that took place already. I think a joint select committee, under the circumstances, is appropriate because it provides you not only with the parliamentarians at the House of Representatives level, but it also allows you the insights of the senators who might offer something in terms of a perspective that you might not get from those House of Representative members. I don't think a joint select committee is out of the question as an appropriate body, but I don't think, as you said, it should be limited to that alone. I think, as put forward by the opposition, a broad-based task force that includes them as well as the private sector and other groups can also be created. I don't think it needs to be a exclusion. It can be, you can, as I say, walk and chew bubblegum.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, Siobhan. I just, as I said, I just wanted to see the terms of reference of the joint select committee, but it doesn't, as you indicated, and I agree with you, mean that we will not have that broad-based committee that the opposition is suggesting.
Well, you see, I just want to allow somebody else to give their contribution, but to be honest, I just want to say to Mr. Philip Palwell and the opposition, I am not buying whatsoever you put forward. I just think that is just a flimsy excuse just to dismiss yourself away from the process, because I strongly believe you don't want to work with the government in this regard. Okay then, and thank you very much. Here.
All right, thank you, Bobby.
All right, all the best.
Alric, I hear you're back on the line with us.
Yeah, man. Yes, I'm saying this is the first time I'm hearing you guys from the hurricane, and this is the first time I'm talking to you guys.
As in me and Sanjay specifically, or just nationwide in general?
Anybody at nationwide.
Oh, dear. It was really that bad for you then? Oh, so where are you calling from, Alric? I've never actually gotten your location. Where are you calling from? Oh, so you're from St. Bess. My particular commiserations for you then, Alric. I understand now what you're suggesting. How it was bad down there. How are things now, though?
Well, not that bad with me. My house is okay, but it's bad around, and from your reach, down Treasure Beach is gone again, and that side going down to Black River and Santa Cruz. I'm in Junction.
Mm-hmm. And is it how long ago you got back cell service? I'm assuming you did.
I got back the service last week, but I have no electricity, so I have to go out and charge my phone every day or the other day in Junction.
Yes.
So we have
a power bank, Alric? You have a power bank?
No. But I just go to Junction and charge up the phones and come back home. Light is around us. Light is in Junction, and light is in Tapil, and light is in Exton and things, but none of where I live.
It would be good if you can get a little power bank, because at least, some emergency power if you need to switch to that, yeah?
Somebody was saying that to me up to yesterday, so I think I'm going to follow you guys. Why I called anyway, though? I listened to you and Mr. O'Brien. And for the first time since the hurricane, I heard it this afternoon. And what he's saying made sense, guys.
No, Mr. O'Brien is quite spot on in terms of his analysis of the situation. Jamaica needs the help of the international community, and I mean, to put it as bluntly as possible, the United Kingdom owes us.
But he couldn't be more blunt, and I'm wondering if he's going to get a backlash. But he couldn't be more blunt. Did he say he's adapting a school?
He did. I think he said something along those lines, and he did suggest that more can be done in terms of providing educational support from the United Kingdom. And I cannot disagree with Mr. O'Brien at this time. And I'm very happy that he put forward the suggestion, because even if it's not, say, a handout of $100 million, because as much as people quibble with me about this matter of reparations, we know that's not going to happen. But certainly we can get some assistance in terms of ways that it doesn't necessarily come with a specific fixed monetary cost, but provide educational support. If you have universities in the United Kingdom, invite a few more graduates or those seeking tertiary education who are struggling here in Jamaica as a result of Hurricane Milton. Invite them to the United Kingdom to pursue a degree there. There's so many ways that you can open up support for Jamaicans at this time.
I agree with you guys, and I'm glad you backed him on that, and I'm glad he came up with that. I hope they listen to him. He's somebody with a lot of weight, but we need a lot more assistance from the UK after that everything, man. So have a good evening, guys. I'm glad I can hear you again, and we'll talk.
All right. Thank you for the call.
All the best. Yeah, man.
Carl, good evening. How are you doing?
Evening, Sanjay. Evening.
Where do Carl?
Respect, man. Respect. His comrades them doesn't understand or know what Andrew Holness say. A chess him player. They don't seem to
talk to me.
A chess him player. You see what Philip Paul did yesterday or from Friday. But think about it very careful. Mr. Golin was in Westmoreland and said, if the government asks them to be a part of the rebuilding, they will make themselves available. Try and get back that clip and play it. Mr. Golin also called a press conference, which he did want $50 million out of the pauperized people of Jamaica. After what we're going through, Mr. Golin want the taxpayer of Jamaica to give them $50 million for disaster when it happened in constituency. So I am not surprised with what happened, what Mr. Green read yesterday evening. I'm not surprised. Because I said it to Ricardo and he host one Friday evening. I saw that coming. No surprise to me. The PMP is still in campaign. Them doesn't accept say them lose the election up to today. And I'm going to remind you of something. Bobby Pickersgill used a term, we'll never forget it. We always believe that it is better for us to form the administration. So anything that will lead us or cause us to be in office, we regard it as in the best interest of the PMP and in the best interest of the country. Think about that careful. Think about those words.
I hear you, Carl. Let me just say this. People call me naive, but it's not a matter of naivety. I just would like to think the best of those put in charge in terms of our governance, whether that is the central executive or those in the opposition, because I think it falls under the same part in terms of the governance of the country.
Mm-hmm.
The simple fact of the matter is the People's National Party wants the matter to go to the PAAC because the chairman of the PAAC is a member of the People's National Party.
Yeah,
I understand that it's the simplest fact of it.
Yes,
I don't think you can escape that simple reality.
No, that's evident. Yeah, I will accept that.
And Siobhan,
that's a fact.
Siobhan, you see, if it never scrapped yesterday evening, all of the PMP human ranks them would have told you this morning, say them are withdrawing themselves out. None of them would have remained if the government was going to keep that body. None of them. I can tell you that if it never scrapped yesterday, all of them would have sent in, said that them not going to be participating on that anymore.
But the question still remains, and I would love if Mr. Powell or somebody from the People's National Party would answer this question. How would the PAAC, under the circumstances, carry out its work? You don't have documents in front of you to analyze and assess and to look at and to say, well, why is this going here? Why is this going there? How would the PAAC, as I understand it, how it has functioned over the years, how would it carry out that function under the circumstances? Give me a compelling understanding of how you would go about it as the PAAC under these circumstances.
I think probably the approach that possibly they could take is to invite, the planning would have to be done naturally, and the planning is continuous, and you invite some of those public servants to come in, and then they ask the questions as to the process that they have gone so far and provide recommendations as to changes they possibly could make.
You know,
that's the only way it could be done.
Siobhan and Sanjay, I'm going to give other person a chance. I'm going to say something to you tonight. And I said to Mr. Hughes yesterday, if you live to see March next year, March, April next year, before budget, we will be getting, I heard George read it also today, but I did say to Mr. Hughes, I think it was Monday, you will be hearing something coming out of the Integrity Commission, said there is corruption into the distribute of what is happening. Please remember, Dayton Campbell, best man, is in there, and Peter Phillips, farmer advisor, is there. Have a blessed night.
All the best, Carl.
Cleveland, good evening.
Cleveland?
Cleveland? Faithful.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Campbell. Good evening, good evening, Mr. Lewis.
How are you doing, Faithful?
Yep. Sorry, pertaining to your guest this afternoon, I think he was making a very good and solid point and well reasoned. So, your suggestion what that Mr. Brian is a part of the United Kingdom?
Yes, I understand he's from Northern Ireland now.
No, he's not from Northern. He's from Ireland.
You have to understand there's two separate. Yes, so if he's from Northern Ireland, he would not be a British citizen.
No, man. If he was from Northern Ireland, he would be a part of the British citizen. But from Ireland, mainland Ireland, he's not.
Okay. All right, thank you for that correction.
Yeah, good. Anyway, yes. What Mr. Brown was saying was true. The fact that immediately after the Russia-Ukraine war, Mark, I'm vehemently against what Russia is doing in Ukraine. But what Mr. Brown says is true. Just as the Ukraine war started, the British and all of them expressed the vehement support for Ukraine. Why? And what this destruction that took place in Jamaica and what they have done to us. They should be ready for our support in a more vigorous way and more substantial way than what they did now.
They should, but if you understand the simple politics of it, the matter of Russian dominance in that part of the world more immediately impacts them in terms of security concerns, which is why they've gone the route they have. But you are right, and I agree that they should provide the support that Jamaica needs.
Yeah, but see, you talk about proximity between Russia and Ukraine and England. What about the support that they're lending to Israel and those that who are far off?
Once again, you're leading into the politics, and I'm telling you, it's the politics of the situation. Jamaica has so very little sway in terms of that.
Shevan, you refer to geography, the closeness.
Yes, I return. Yes, on the matter of security and the politics surrounding it. But I'm talking the politics in general puts Jamaica very low on the totem pole. I'm not saying that is how it should be, but I'm saying that is the reality on the ground.
But the reality is that they treat us like second class for what they have done to us, and that is the reality. For the fact that they use us when it please them to fight the war, and after that, what they select us to do? We have to get visa to go to England. That's not how they treat other color people. They don't want to call other damn black people.
You're preaching to the choir, and nobody here is not of that understanding. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, but you were not giving me the impression that you was agreeing with what Mr. Brian was saying.
Oh, I thought I made that very clear. I thought what you put forward was a very excellent suggestion. But you have to look at it in an argument as to how do you cajole I don't know if you want to even call him a superpower at this point, but how do you cajole a major power such as the United Kingdom to provide you with more assistance when they themselves look at the reality on the ground and don't believe that assistance really rises to that level?
And I think what is important to point out is that countries, they invest in something depending on the need. So let's go back to that war in Ukraine. Russia's invasion threatens the stability of Europe. If Russia is allowed to take Ukraine territory by force, it sets a precedent for attacking other countries. It destabilizes NATO. Yeah? And it increases the risk of wider war in Europe. So in their mind, they are going to fund Ukraine because they're trying to protect the European Union. And not so much the European Union, but the stability, I should say, of Europe.
Of the same European Union that they exited. I give
that away. You can't speak of European Union in South Africa, which is not England, not part of
Which is why I changed it and said the stability of Europe. Because Europe is still important to them in terms of trade.
Yes, it is important, but at the same thing in parallel, what they have done to us, and what they continue to do to us. As Mr. Brown said, all right. I'm not sure how strong I was about reparation, during the fact that if they gave us reparation, I don't know where the money would have gone and what the case may be. But based on the way they treat us, I think reparation it should be front and center for our things. Because if we have such a great disaster and they can treat us so miserly.
It comes with, as I said, to just needs. Remember, all of a sudden, Guyanese citizens can travel to the UK visa-free. Why do you think that is? What very useful resource has been flowing from Guyana that the UK can very much exploit now?
So I am saying, Shevan, that my point is because of favoritism and what you have and what you don't have. But they remark, one of the reasons that England gave why they give us visa and why they don't want us, they say we are troublemaker. But they make us become troublemaker, like what they have done to us, they mash up our brain and our thinking and what they teach us. The only way to get justice is to fight and kill each other, because that's the way they were treating us, and they were beating us for us to obey them.
I hear you. I understand the struggle, and it's not me suggesting that I don't believe reparations are required. I just sometimes wonder if we're barking up the tree that just it's not going to bear any fruit. And I think at the end of the day, Jamaicans, we have to band together, solve our problems as best as we can through our own means. Isn't that the message of the government and the administration? Self-reliance. At this point, I'm not suggesting we don't seek aid, but I think we really have to look to ourselves and look inwards to solve many of the issues that we face.
Yes, but for our own dignity and things like that. You're suggesting that then we should not pick up the task as suggest to England that what they are contributing to us is means and meaningless and insulting. You say we should not say that, tell that to the English.
No, that's not what I said at all. I said that even in the seeking that we should look to our own devices.
Yeah, but you're saying it is 2 times. That's what you're saying.
I just question how realistic it is to get that support. I question in terms of the geopolitical realities and the dynamics there, how realistic it is to get that. Not that we shouldn't pursue it, not that it is not an important topic, just that I'm trying to be a realist under the circumstances.
It can be Chevron, but we have to fight for it. If we don't fight for it, you're not going to get it. And based on the way they consistently treat us, it's something that we have to fight for. You see,
I hear you.
Look at Israel and when what Israel done to Israel and what Israel asked for, what they already give to Israel, because Israel will already fight and they get people to fight for them. We need to do the same thing. We need to fight for what you think is just.
But the situation in terms of the Israel is quite different from Jamaica in terms of the political benefits to the state of Israel to greater powers.
Yeah,
you understand that, right?
Because of the color of their skin and the permanent that they hold in society.
I don't know about I'm not going that path. I'm suggesting there's a political reality in terms of having the state of Israel there as exposed by a president at one point in terms of having a friend in the region.
But I want to go back to something as it relates to reparation, because when I asked the question about conflating the issues, many persons in the chat, they attacked me, yeah? And attack not in a bad way, let me just make that clear.
I never like your suggestion to Mr. Brian.
No, but hold on, let me tell you why, and I stand by it. A country is not obligated to give us anything. The UK made a sovereign decision to provide support. Hold on. They made a sovereign decision to provide support, and that choice stands on its own merit. Bringing reparations into this specific discussion, it conflates 2 different issues. Remember,
I don't agree with you.
No, hold on. Let me just finish the point and allow you. Reparations relates to historical injustices. Slavery, we know what it is.
Yes.
UK funding decisions for modern development, disaster support, or security cooperation are based on current geopolitical, as we mentioned with the Ukraine situation, humanitarian and strategic factors, not historical compensation. So when we mix the 2 conversations, we risk blurring reparations, which is a historical justice argument, versus current UK assistance, which is a voluntary foreign policy decision. So I believe that we should keep them separate, and it helps the debate. It stay clear, help it to stay clear, factual, and honest. This was my take on it.
All right, because I would agree with them if you say they are not obligated to give us nothing, and if that is the case, if they are not obligated to do us no, so we should seek justice for what they have done to us. Then
I think Sanjay actually made that clear that he's not suggesting that one precludes the other.
Yeah, and you're supporting my point. Then if you're saying that we should seek injustice for the reparation, separate it. That's my point.
Okay, have a good day.
All right, thank you for the call. Charlie, good evening. We can barely hear you, Charlie. Can you bring the phone closer? I don't know if you're far away from the device.
I only have 1 second left on the phone, so I can bring your call back.
He's asking for a call back. I don't know how the studio lines work. He tried calling Charlie back. He made the attempt, so let's give him that. Allow him to call. So I'm saying that that's not possible, Charlie, unfortunately. I wish we could, but we cannot call you back. But I hear the people in the YouTube comments, and I recall when you asked the question, Sanjay, that there was quite the uproar.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's an understanding that we're not suggesting, as you said, that the two issues are not important. We're just suggesting, as you said, that maybe don't conflate the two, as you put forward quite robustly. We can talk about this matter of what the United Kingdom should provide in terms of support, but they're not obligated to assist us. I wish there was some reality where that could change, but they are not. But as Mr. O'Brien put forward, there are ways which does not necessarily require a monetary offering of sort in which they can assist Jamaica further. And I think we should pursue them. And education is one way in which that assistance can be provided. I think that is a reasonable conversation to have with the British High Commission and the UK government as a whole. I mean,
really should not conflate the issues at all. You can go, and as Alaric indicated at the end, go and fight for reparation, but do not conflate it with the assistance that they're given. Because remember, these countries, they give based on geopolitical issues that is currently happening, the humanitarian aspect of it. They are very strategic. They are strategic without a duty. Now, look again at how they help Ukraine. And I explain why the UK would go so far to assist Ukraine. It's strategic. Siobhan gave the example of Guyana. How is it that Guyana suddenly they removed the visa restriction? Yes, because Guyana found that wonderful commodity. Again, it's a strategic geopolitical decision that the United Kingdom, decided to make.
And let's not pretend that if Jamaica does not play the geopolitics sometimes, we're not precluded from that argument. We just have to play it smartly and with a certain intention. And I think the Prime Minister himself has gone about it in a certain way in order to ensure that Jamaica's interests remain front and center in a lot of minds. But we have Whodunit on the line. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Sanjay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Siobhan. YouTubers. Pleasant evening to everyone. What I want to put in a question to you. Jamaicans have to have visa to go to the UK. Is the same thing for the Asian to go to France? Do you guys aware of that? Is that so?
Come again?
Do the Asian have to have visa to go to France?
Can you answer that one, Sanjay? I'm not sure.
I'm checking. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
so the citizens of Haiti do need a visa to travel to France. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Those two seem like two of the worst European set of people, the French and the English.
You mean the old colonial powers?
Yeah, after they benefited from both countries, and at the same time they shut them down to visit them. It's not looking good,
I mean, if you think about the historic context, can you imagine paying off a debt into the 1950s for your own freedom?
Yeah.
Every time I think about what Haiti has gone through over the century of its republicanism, it's really shocking what that country has suffered and endured.
Yeah. All right, quickly before the program, I don't know if I can get another caller. Siobhan, you deal with financial matters. You're more in depth in financial matters as a journalist for NNN.
All right, what's on your mind? I'll do the best I can to answer the question.
All right, just a question to you. When a company files for bankruptcy, can you just arbitrarily declare bankruptcy? And if you do, who is responsible to verify that this bankruptcy is not a sham, and are you not just trying to prevent and to block paying your debtors,
But that is a matter for the courts. When a company declares bankruptcy, a receiver is usually appointed outside of the company's remit to handle the appropriation of assets. But you can file a order in court to suggest that a company is being facetious in terms of their filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah, okay. And
it's not a simple process. They can't just get up and say they're filing for bankruptcy at all. It's a very strict process.
And there's Chapter 7, Chapter 13, I think, one state that if a judge has already awarded a payment to the person that you owe, you still have to pay. And then in another Chapter 13, there's some sort of a payment arrangement. arrangement that you can get into with like a long mortgage, 25, 30 years. So I just put it to you just to hear your perspective, and there might be other persons who might find some sort of interest in it. Because I know of a case where a company took this developer to court, and they awarded about $200 million. And subsequently, the company filed for bankruptcy, and then there's other persons who them also women who also.
Sorry, Carl. I hear you, but I'm getting the wrap up, the very aggressive wrap up. So, to answer your question as best as you can't just declare bankruptcy and say, well, I'm out of my debts. That's not how it works. There is a process in terms of making sure that your creditors are made whole as best as possible. But thank you for the call, and thank you, YouTubers and all listening, for joining us this evening. Thanks to our super producer, Dana Davey, or technical operator, Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson. It has been a pleasure. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Creative Building Finishes is celebrating 25 years of transforming Jamaica.